Oh, shoot, hang on, let me share screen. And
water on, but it was just so overwhelming. It was getting out in front of us. So right now we've got about 3 or 4 structures that are involved. Our fear is that there's smaller pockets of homes and businesses in here. And again, if you think about some of our legacy greater alarm fires, they involve these areas where when you think about a normal building or a normal structure, our firefighters sometimes go right through the front door or we access it to the back. But as you can see, think about trying to get hose lines, maneuvering through all of that.
Rob, let me jump in on you for just a moment. We're up against a hard break here, so can you stay on the line with us? We'll come right back to you after the break with more continuing coverage here on ABC 15.
At 27th Avenue and Buckeye in that area. You can see just the flames engulfing some businesses there. 4 structures are on fire. You can see some RVs, a number of cars, incredibly hot. We've been talking with Phoenix Fire Captain Rob McDade, still on the line with us. Captain, thanks for sticking with us. Kind of talk to us. We were talking over the break about the posture your men and women on the ground are taking right now. Talk to us about the challenges of fighting a fire this hot.
Yep, absolutely, Zach. So when we look at this fire right now, it's about access. We need to put our folks in the right place to make the right effect on this fire. So this is a defensive fire, but we will put our folks in a very calculated manner on hose lines to get them close enough to that. If you look at your overhead video, there is a lot of metal-clad roofs that will prevent, our master streams from above making a difference in this fire. Again, we train for this. These are South Central crews that are very familiar with fighting these fires. They pre-plan these areas. They have an idea of where they want to go. But if you look on that bottom of the screen there, you can see in the middle part there's that ladder truck. They're trying to get it in place to get the elevated streams up. And if you look sort of on that right side of the screen there, that's a great shot. That ladder truck is in place to start putting the water down on it. But again, our fear, or our concern, is when the wind will shift and we can't have our folks in that place. So right now it's all about that centralized command system. I'm listening on the radio. Our command officers are making minute-by-minute changes where they want our crews.
Right. I know you described it as an aggressive defensive stand right now against this fire. And again, you said it was a recycling facility that's burning along with some other surrounding businesses and potentially homes.
Yes. So when you look at this part of Phoenix, right, well, there's a cement place, we've got a rock distribution place to the side. What we look at here is not so much there is some recycling, but then these are some yards where a lot of folks will keep what we call, the recyclable yards, where they're storing metal or they've got old, conditions, and they're going to either recycle them or try to use them again. And once those fires get going, they're very hard to put out. We need an enormous amount of water. So that's the central focus of our folks is that free burning stuff right there. We need to start getting water around it and then add it. So again, we've got the firefighters and the resources, but as you can see, we've got alleys, we've got fences, we've got very narrow dirt roads. So it's getting our folks in the right place to try to make a difference in this fire. So it's two-pronged. We're going to get the initial attack, which will be right in the center of that fire and around it. And then the other crews will start protecting the exposures, because we can't have it spread, and we need to really attack that, what we call it, main seat of the fire.
Yeah. Can you give us, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but I'm sure this area is evacuated now. Can you give us some boundaries of the evacuation zone as a result of this?
Yep. So, Faye, I wish I had the exact boundaries, but I can tell you that we are working with Phoenix PD, as we always do on these scenes. And what we start doing is just shutting down those roads, and it's a simultaneous attack. We've got firefighters setting up master streams, putting water on the fire, and at the same time, we need to go door to door to make sure we get everybody out of that area. Again, a little bit more of an industrial area, so we're not dealing with a very dense populated area, so that's going to make it easier on us. But what we'll do is block by block, just keep pushing people out, getting them out, and then probably start with like 31st to 32nd, and then eventually what we'll make is a large block area where we've evacuated everybody out, and then we need to make sure we do not let everybody get into that area.
And Rob, what about this smoke? How concerned are you about people breathing this smoke in?
Yep. As we always say, the best place for you to be is shelter in place if you're in the area. We obviously, the most, the folks in our community that are most affected, the elderly and the young, we want to make sure that we get them out of that area. We work with the Arizona Department of Air Quality. They respond to our scenes. We work hand in hand. It's a very tiered system. Life safety comes first, fire control. We need to get everybody out of the area. And then we start working with the stakeholders, APS for the power in the area, and then, the Department of Air Quality. Again, what we tell people is, if you can safely get out of the area, then do that. If you're in the area, you don't think you can get out, then stay in your home, and that's going to be the best place for you to do is shelter in place.
Yeah, Captain, I mean, you mentioned the challenges of getting access to that fire, and we can see some ladder trucks finally getting over on top of it. But you're really hamstrung by that thick black smoke. I mean, you can really not access the fire from, say, 180 degrees, right? Because that black smoke is so low and so thick. You said something on the phone earlier about what getting at that fire from above is going to do. What difference does it make now that you got some ladder trucks in the area and we're starting to see them lay water down on the surrounding structures first to your point, try and contain it?
Yep, great point.
How you
look
been,
at
man?
that thick black smoke and look at the direction that it's heading. So we know that it is somewhat wind driven. Our folks put on their self-contained breathing apparatus, right? We call them the SCBAs. We're in our turrets. We can be in those elements, but we don't like to put our folks in that for a long time, right? That's superheated smoke. That's why it's that black. That's the kind of smoke that can reignite. So again, when we're looking at that containment, and you asked about the importance, look at what those ladder pipes represent is getting our folks in a more advantageous
All right, brother.
area. But now we're flowing very large volumes of water. That's how we put these fires out. While the hand lines do a fantastic
Working
job,
on the
they
channel
don't come
and
close to the amount of water
get
that
us
we can
things
flow
on
out of those master
ball
streams and
rolling and
continuous flow
whatnot. So
out of those master streams and get us
been
right
staying
into
out of
those
trouble.
fires. So
How about you?
we are now in the position to where we're getting what we need on top and on the sides to stop it from spreading. And this is the recipe to how we put these fires out.
And you also mentioned
500
reports
hours
of
of watch
explosions
time.
coming from this fire and reports of live
Um,
ammunition. What can you add to that?
That's 400 subs.
Yep, very common in an area like
413.
this. So we're going to have either residual gas
No.
in either those RVs
Slowly
or
but
those
surely.
vehicles. Very often there is acetylene or propane tanks used for either welding or manufacturing in those areas. And then we
Camera,
did get a
so
report that one of the areas had live ammo. Again, what we worry about with the live ammo is the gunpowder exploding.
Yeah.
The ammo itself does not project itself out. It doesn't. I won't go into the mechanisms of it, but it's not as the same as a firearm or a rifle. But again, still presents a danger to us. So you'll hear constant radio traffic from our command structure.
Hey, Ben,
to the
brother.
folks that are there. We put out emergency traffic to let everybody know there are explosions. Please proceed with care. And then the caution warning is
It's been
we have to treat everything
way hot
as a
here.
live wire, right? That
Like,
everything
our
is
data
being
that-
energized.
But
And again, we work with our great partners with APS.
And,
They work hand in hand.
I
They
think
know how to operate on these fire grounds
today,
with us.
not today,
We
but
get them
yesterday
on
or the
command
day
vans,
before,
we
it
get the
was
information of
like
how
100
much of this block is completely de-energized. So
and
again,
it's so hot.
that thick black
And we
smoke
haven't
going
had
now,
much
you
of,
can see all those
hurricanes
hot spots inside of it,
lately,
and it's
so,
hard for us to get to. But
um,
once we
all
start doing it,
season
you
has
that
been
turns
really-
around and drown, and that's the goal for right now is to stop the
Has
spread
it been really
and
active?
really knock down that main area.
Yeah, it's about 109, 110 out there right now. I
We
can
haven't
only
had
imagine
much
what your
of a
crews are
hurricane.
going through and the
Um,
intense heat they're dealing with. How often are you rotating
So that's
people
why
in
this
and out
channel's
of a
not as,
situation like
it's not
this?
as active
That's
as
a great
as
question. So what we do
it
is,
usually is.
that's a lot of times when we not only do we need the trucks, but we need the people, right?
Uh,
Because on a
Hopefully
day
there's
like this, we're asking
something will
a
happen
lot of our
and,
members, and
weather
they're
will
up to the
start getting
task.
active
This is why we
again.
train. This is why you see us when we do all of our working out with our turnout gear to train for this. But the command staff understands and they keep track of how long these folks have been in a working position. We'll recycle them through. There's constant communication about, hey, Engine 3, you've been working for 30 minutes. We're taking you and your crew out. We need to get you rehab to get you back in there. So we will constantly be circulating these crews throughout, and that's going to be the success to put this fire out.
You know, Captain McDade, thank you for taking the time again. I got another question for you, just about at what
It's
point
been
will you
dry
guys
here,
decide,
too, so-
all right, we need to let this burn a little bit. You mentioned the hot spots are going to be difficult to get to, but at some point, at what point do you think you guys will maybe pull back and watch a little bit if you feel like the fire is no longer spreading? How long should people expect this area to be kind of shut down with at least some level of burning?
So the tactics stay the same. We need to commit our crews to have constant water flow on this fire. Yes, there are times where we do a little bit of a free burn inside. A lot of that is based on the fact that we just can't get the reach to get in there with our ladder trucks. But again, you can see some of the gray. The gray is good news. Every time you see that, we're making conversion. We're starting to get out in front of it. There's a little bit of it happening now. But yes, it almost coincides together. We put aggressive ladder pipes on it with a large amount of water. And then what we hope is it just starts
Waiting for the
running out
weather
of
to get
fuel,
active.
right?
Right?
So you can see tactically where we're at. So we will make the decision on the very interior that we have almost no choice just to let that free burn, but we will always be attacking from all sides of the fire as much as we can to make sure, again, once we own these fires, once we're there, we're making an effort, we will take every precaution and every really tactical move to make sure it does not spread to any more surrounding buildings. So you could already tell the crews are doing a good job. They've got an idea of where they want to go to surround it. and how they need to stop it. But it's a tall task, but as you can tell, I mean, our folks are up to this fight right now.
Yeah, and that thick, heavy smoke that we've been talking about all afternoon here is blowing to the east now. It's hanging pretty low. I know you mentioned for folks who can't get out of the area to shelter in place. What about like air conditioning units and things like that? Should people keep running them? Do they help to filter or to shut everything down right now?
Yep. So the experts tell us that as long as you're not actually smelling that and you think that your air system is a very well, more up-to-date system, you can keep the air on as long as you don't believe that there is any sort of compromise to that system. When in doubt, and I know it's a hot day, when in doubt, it's good to turn that off, and then that way you know you're completely sheltered in there. But again, our hope is that anybody directly in that line of the smoke, we have already evacuated them from that area. But if they do need to shelter in place, the experts tell us inside of your home, unless you're really smelling that smoke inside of it with the AC on it, if you're not, you're fine, you can keep it on.
You know, you mentioned this started as a grass fire. I know that is not the priority right now. You're actively attacking this, as we can see on the Cliff Castle chopper. But Captain McDade, I mean, how are you going to go back and talk to us about trying to figure out, once this is all said and done and the fire's out, trying to figure out how this started and if anyone should be held responsible?
Yep, good question. So our fire investigations task force, which we put together and really solidified that group 4 years ago. And the work they do, it's a combination of Phoenix fire investigators with a lot of experience. We also have the Phoenix Police Department that has detectives there. And I can tell you, when you look at something like this, it's that standard evidence gathering, right? You talk to who called 911 first. Are there any, ring cameras? Is there anything we could tell from that? They're really good at what they do, is putting those pieces together. But again, you mentioned it, it's hard, right? Think about putting evidence together when you've got this massive fire that is burning. But it really starts from talking to witnesses. What did you see? When you called 911, where did it start? And they really just start right from the beginning, and they work their way out from that way.
Yeah, this fire really took off running very, very quickly from when it started shortly before 3 o'clock. Are we accurate to continue reporting that there are no injuries so far?
That is correct. We have not had any reports of any injuries. I could tell you, I was listening to the radio traffic. When the first crew started arriving on scene, their main priority was life safety. We made sure that we were making the quick decision to do the search of the immediate area while establishing a water supply. From all of right now, from all we can tell, there have not been any injuries.
Can you give us any idea of like how much water you're pouring on this per minute, or however you gauge it?
Yeah. So at this point in time, we've got anywhere from 150 gallons per minute out of a hose line to 250 out of a hose line. And again, we know we live in the desert, and we know that water is at a premium. But unfortunately, this is our main our main way to tackle these fires and put them out. So this will take quite a bit of water to put it out. But right now, again, focus. We just got to get water on this fire. Yeah,
and I know you were talking about this as a recycling facility, and then it looks like some sort of an auto repair shop possibly, but there were homes in the area. There are homes in the area. Can you give us any kind of an update of what you're hearing from your crews on scene there about the integrity of those structures? Are they burning? Are they safe?
So right now, so what you'll see also, Faye, it's kind of interesting. A lot of times with these businesses, they're family owned, they're passed through generations, and it'll look like a business from the outside, and somewhere in that building is an area where there's also a domicile where they live. I think you saw some mobile homes and RVs that are attached to there. Sometimes those are actually their homes as well. So in that immediate area, we believe that's what will be the biggest loss for anybody that was living in the area. But so far, we don't believe it has not made its way into any of the neighborhoods where you'll see rows of houses in there. So that's about the best I can update from that.
And we know, Captain, that Phoenix Fire, is well equipped to respond to this. Are you asking any other cities for apparatus or any other help in fighting this?
Absolutely. So again, it's that automatic aid that we are very proud of in the Valley, where it doesn't matter what color truck, yellow, white, red, We all train in the same sort of system. We talk the same language. We have the same radios. And there are multiple agencies on this fire, just as what happens almost any time we have a fire that's going to be a 3-alarm. The satellite knows where every fire station is, knows where the closest fire truck, so it's not uncommon to say, have a unit from Tolleson, from Glendale, Peoria, some of those west side and, agencies that will be closest to it. Again, that's why the automatic aid works so well. When there's an emergency, you're getting the closest fire truck, doesn't matter what city you're in. And boy, this is a decades-long automatic aid system that has really, we believe, served Valley residents for a long time.
We're seeing that water just being poured on, and some of that gray smoke that you said was a good indication that you're getting getting a handle on it. Certainly, at least on that end of the fire, on the west end of the fire there. Are you able to position fire trucks beneath that huge column of smoke, or do you keep them to the outsides?
We try to keep them to the outside. What we'll do is, if you can see that ladder truck on the bottom there, that's a fully extended ladder right now. And I'm telling you, I've been to that ladder training. We joke about, those are our truck guys. Those are the folks that really, men and women that want to be on those ladder trucks, and the training that goes into it. Half of that training is that, look how they wedged it in that area. They knew how to get that reach. They're moving it. They're articulating it left and right. So what we'd like to do is keep creeping in more after we, I know, Faye, what you're talking about, that east side where we really want to try to knock it down. If you look on that left side there, that's what we would call a stinger. That's we can put that as a piece of equipment that is, it's mobile, but when we set it down, it's a continual foot. So we'll put our folks into an area with that, set it up, and then we can back out a little bit and see how just see what of a difference we're making with it. But again, you can start seeing some of that water to the left there on that east side. Again, just how much of a difference that those elevated master streams make, and that way we don't have to put our folks so close to the fire. So again, a very calculated, constantly, like I said, command is, they evaluate it minute by minute what we're doing. And if you listen to that radio traffic, they're moving units all the time to make sure we're making the best effect that we can.
Captain, you mentioned APS trying to de-energize power lines. Is it safe to assume that that's happened about an hour into fighting this fire?
Yes, I did hear. I was trying to multitask, listening to the radio, and APS has been in constant communication with us, and they're updating us on how many power grids in that area have been shut down. And they've been doing that as we've been speaking. They've been shutting down those grids in that area.
Any word on what is directly to the east of the burn area here, and like what are they businesses? It looks like businesses to the east of that, and what kind of businesses those are?
I don't have the exact indication of what those businesses are, but yes, again, those are those multi-business areas there where there could be manufacturing. It could be anything from chairs or patio furniture or stuff that gets shipped out that is stored there. So again, the folks that are right there, I'm sure they're talking what we call, the RPs, the responsible persons. We get the addresses. We work very well with our alarm room. Not only does our alarm room dispatch our trucks to the right place at the right time, and then they act as sort of that, that voice that we hear when we need updates, we need more fire trucks. But our alarm room does a fantastic job of, when we feed them the addresses down there, they look up the addresses. We have the RP's number. We call the businesses, let them know if you're not here, this is what's going on. So again, a really great way to shine a light on our alarm room, that they don't just dispatch, they are an active participant in these fires. We couldn't put these fires out without the great work they do up in that alarm room.
Look at some new images coming in from one of our cameras on the ground there. Got a great view of the work that your firefighters are doing on the top of those ladders. Notice two people up there. Can you go through exactly what each person is doing?
Sure. So right there, we're looking at ladder 22. They're off of Rozier and Central, just to give you an idea of where they traveled to get to this fire. They work together. We've got a captain up there with a firefighter. They're in constant communication with the ladder crew below. A ladder crew will have either 4 or 5 individuals. Command is looking at what they're doing, so it's constant communication. They're plugged into air. They're breathing on air up there, and they're letting them know, hey, articulate to the right, to the left. You're getting a good knockdown on it there. They also provide a good bird's eye view for us. It's not uncommon for a captain or a firefighter up in a bucket to tell the ground crews, hey, engine 3, you're making good effort on there. Keep pushing forward. Keep doing what you're doing. Or you could hear them say, hey, engine 4, I think you'd be better off, sir, if you go around the east side of that building.
Yeah.
And so, again, it goes back to all the training we do, constant communication, and understanding everybody's job on the fire ground.
Yeah, and I want to take for the control room now that wide shot one more time because, Rob, I'd like to ask you, you mentioned this started with a grass fire. It's believed to have started with a grass fire. Where is the area where you think it started? I know you're watching our images right now.
Yep. So right now it's hard to really pinpoint the area. It'd be easier for me to articulate, but it started sort of below where ladder 22, where we believe in that grass area there, in between those ladders, and then with the wind, it was wind driven to the east. But again, I don't want to step on the toes of our investigative team. They do such a great job, so I'd really hate to speculate, but you could see in the area there where we've got a mix of dirt, trees, and grass, and it was one of those areas. Started on the grass, usually catches a fence on fire, and if it's undetected, unfortunately, that's when it makes its way into buildings and vehicles and anything else that wants to burn.
All right, Captain McDade, we're going to let you go. We know you've been multitasking this entire time, probably sending texts, likely listening to the scanner, as you've mentioned. So thank you for taking the time, at least 30 plus minutes here, explaining what your men and women are doing at this fire right now, all of the nuances and implications there. So we really appreciate your time.
Incredibly insightful. Captain Rob McDade from Phoenix Fire, thank you very much for joining us. I want to go out to one of our reporters on the scene, on the ground there, Nicole Grigg. Nicole, where are you in relation to the fire? And give us an update from your perspective.
So my photographer and I, we were trying to be strategic. We're on the north side of the fire. We wanted to stay out of that line of smoke. So this is what you're seeing right now from that north side of the fire, just smoke billowing right now. Obviously, Captain McDade just filling us in on the latest details. But Zach, can you actually scoot over and zoom into those ladder trucks? You can see the water just constantly flowing right here. We have several of those ladder trucks up because they are working on that defensive strategy right now. Now, I know that some of our other reporters who got here just a few minutes before me said that they could hear explosions from the ground. I can tell you that I'm not hearing that right now, but this is a very active and heavy scene where I'm at right now. You can see that the road right here, this is 31st Avenue. So it is taped off. Police have blocked it off, and it's actually like a detour. So we're seeing cars like this trying to turn around right now and try to find a way around this. A lot of people also just around us watching. So, a very active scene. Keep in mind the temperatures right now. We know water is a concern for firefighters that we've been hearing. So we know that they need that. And also they're going to have to rotate out these firefighters to make sure that they're getting breaks in this type of brutal heat. So I'm going to start talking to some of the people out here. And if you guys want to come back in a few minutes, I just got here about 3 minutes before you guys came to me. So I want to get a little bit more details, and then I'll give you more from what we're learning here on the ground.
Yeah.
Back to you.
And Nicole, we want you to take it easy out there as well, because it is still 109 degrees out there, and there must be an incredible amount of heat coming off those flames there at 27th Avenue and Buckeye.
Absolutely. We saw Nicole's hair whipping in the wind there. Let's go to Jordan Bonke now in a different location than Nicole. And Jordan, we can see the smoke behind you. What are you seeing on the ground there?
Where we're at is 30th Street in Sherman. This is just a little bit north of Tonto. When we were making our way out here, you could see these plumes of smoke that are just kind of covering over downtown. You can hear the firefighters behind us here. A lot of people have come out of their homes just to see what's going on. It's hard not to in a moment like this. The closest smoke to us right here is probably 50 yards away, and most of it's really, really black smoke. You just heard from police, from fire officials saying that they had to de-energize some of the power lines. There's down power lines. And when we got out here, the first thing that we wanted to inquire is what's burning? What is that? What's inside? And it's kind of a different array of things. Somebody said that they were trying to open up different access. A neighbor over here said they're trying to open up different parts of the area so that they can have different firefighters come in. And you could see the look on their faces, these firefighters, as they're coming out. And they just look so exhausted. Again, it's still 108, 109 degrees outside, climbing up to perhaps even 110 as we continue on. But what's in there is just an array of different things. From my vantage point here, I can tell you it looks like some junk cars, some tires. We've heard some popping from in here. One sign that does seem a little bit encouraging is when we got out here, it was such thick black smoke billowing into the air. That's now turning a little bit more so into some clearer smoke. And it's just not as abundant as it once was. But this smoke was so prevalent so prevalent from I-10. That's from our vantage point right now, all that we can share. We've got at least 3 ladders from where I can see at 30th Drive and Sherman Street, and I've probably got 24 people outside of their home just watching to see what happens here. But that's the best I can give for the report from our vantage point, just on our surroundings, as we're still trying to talk with people. We just arrived about 5 minutes ago. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Jordan, thank you. And as Faye mentioned to Nicole, stay safe out there, because we just saw the firefighters wiping their brows in short sleeve shirts. Incredibly hot out there. We got new photos from right when that fire started. So these are from probably 30 minutes to an hour ago from Mr. and Mrs. Perez there. So we appreciate you sending in those photos to share at abc15.com. You can see on the ground there the thickness of that black smoke. As Captain McDade said to us earlier, Faye, gray is good.
Gray is good. That black smoke, not good, that you saw in those brand new pictures just coming in from earlier this afternoon. Captain McDade calling that superheated smoke, meaning the intensity of the fire is really incredible as we continue to watch the firefight right now. It's being described as an aggressive defensive stand that Phoenix firefighters are taking on this right now, trying to pour as much water as they can, 150 to 250 gallons per minute getting poured onto that fire down below. And we're seeing more of that good gray smoke right now. I want to go to one of our other reporters on scene, Jennifer Kovaleski. Jen, where are you, and what's your view right now?
Yeah, so we are on 28th Avenue in West Lincoln, and you can see behind me that smoke is starting to kind of dissipate. It's a light gray, and as Jordan mentioned, as we were driving up here, we got here probably about 5 or 10 minutes ago. We've seen the smoke go from gray to a really, really heavy black, back to a gray, then again to that really heavy dark smoke. So it seems like it's starting to kind of dissipate behind us, but still a very serious fire, lots burning behind us. We've got people out of their homes trying to see what's going on here, as you would do if you lived in this area. And we are seeing this smoke. We are seeing a lot of police activity. Phoenix Police is here. They've shut down this road here at Lincoln and 28th, not letting any cars go through. But you can smell it, you can taste it. It really seems like there's some sort of rubber burning in this fire. But the smoke has gone down in probably just the last couple of minutes. And as you said, light gray is a good sign, but clearly we know that this is a 4-alarm fire. This is a massive fire that firefighters are actively working to try to get ahead of and to stop these structures from burning. But right now, this is as close as we're able to get. We are being told that we could learn more information at 31st and Lincoln, so we may make our way there, but want to kind of get a sense of the scene here, and we'll send it back to you right now.
All right, Jennifer Kovaleski live on scene for us of that massive fire that we have been following all afternoon, getting our first reports of this shortly before 3 o'clock near 27th Avenue and Buckeye, recycling facility, and some part of a car storage facility, it appears to be, that are really burning right now. Right,
and so many complications here. We've talked about the winds at length. We've talked about some homes there, but obviously they're starting to get control of this fire. Captain Rob McDade with us for the past hour, the better part of the past hour, talking about the importance of those ladder trucks, the amount of water that they can get on those burning cars in particular, and those metal roofs burning at such high intensities, not only because it was difficult to get to and they had some time to really ignite, but also just because of our heat outside. So let's bring in meteorologist Jorge Torres now, because Jorge, we heard the winds and we can actually see them. If we take this other shot, we can see some crime scene tape fluttering there at a really, really high rate. Talk to us about what they're dealing with out there.
Yeah, we've just noticed a wind gust. You saw from Jennifer Kovalevsky's live shot, beginning to gust quite a bit, and gusts are now at around 20 to 25 miles per hour. So it's good that the crews there were able to kind of get a good handle on this fire right before the wind started howling within the past, we're going to say, a half an hour to an hour or so. But the other concern that we saw some of the fire crews again wiping their brow as temperatures have been scorching hot. We've reached 110 degrees at least officially in Phoenix, but across the valley you see temperatures anywhere from 102 to 108, 109, even 110 as you head toward the southeast valley. So still a dangerous situation for crews out there. So I think we also been monitoring very carefully via Desert Doppler is the smoke being picked up on radar. You can kind of see that green blip just west of the 17. That was smoke that started from that fire right around 2:45 to 3 o'clock and started drifting to the east and not really seeing it as much, which means that the fire is not as intense. So that is some good news.
Yeah, and one of the things that we heard from Phoenix Fire is that if you live downwind of this, which is effectively to the east of where this fire is burning near 27th Avenue and Buckeye, a lot of this area has already been evacuated by Phoenix police and firefighters. But if you are in the area and this smoke is kind of going over you right now, the suggestion from Phoenix firefighters was to shelter in place. You can continue running your air conditioning unit. Make sure everything is closed up on your home right now. If you start to smell that smoke coming in, though, or you have potentially an older air conditioning unit, you may want to, as hot as it is, you may want to turn off that air conditioning unit for a time to make sure that your home is effectively sealed in and you're not breathing all of this in.
Yeah, really great points. And we have multiple crews on the ground. Our continuing coverage of this fire continues right now with ABC 15's Jordan Bonke on the ground live there. Jordan, kind of talk to us about what you're seeing. We see the winds out there and we see some firefighters, and it looks like potentially APS crews on the ground. What's going on?
Yeah, so I can tell you I'm standing right next to photojournalist Danny Bavaro right now, and he's able to push in on some of those flames. This is what happened just a couple of weeks ago when we were covering this propane fire, when it gets this hot. Sometimes when these fires are just so huge, so abundant, they're going to start to get sporadic and move in different pockets. And that's what this crew appears to be doing right now. There's an open flame here, and you can see Phoenix Fire battling another one right here. I did just speak with a woman who says that her husband works at an adjacent business, just next door to the one that is such the attention right now for Phoenix Fire. She said that this is a junkyard, just an array of different things that are in there right now. It started as she said that her son noticed that there was something on fire outside, maybe a brush fire or a shed that was on fire, she said, and then it just ballooned into this enormous fire that could be seen up and down I-10 as you're heading towards downtown Phoenix, this here just South Phoenix. Where we're standing is 30th Drive and Sherman. We've heard from just neighbors that are just coming out of their house, definitely not listening to those shelter-in-place orders, because it's hard not to when you have your livelihood just on a block like this, and you just want to make sure that this isn't going to get too close to your own home like this. These police tape, this tape just started showing up, and we also heard APS crews have started to respond because of some power line challenges, and also water is a challenge. You're seeing huge fire hoses, a chopper overhead now as well, but trying to put this thing out. That fire's still just blazing over there, and Phoenix Fire is aware of it. These are just things that are lower priorities for Phoenix Fire, knowing that there are attack points, and there are at least 3 ladders behind us. Here we go. Here we go. We got a fire truck. He's going to blow through this. This crime scene here. I'm going to send it back to you. This is coming through here for now.
They want to let those firefighters get their job done, get out of their way, make sure that you guys are safe out there and the fire crews are safe as well. So you'll continue to gather information from your perspective there. But right now, we want to get back out to our Nicole Grigg. And Nicole, we heard that this started as a grass fire. We don't know exactly the ignition point yet or exactly what started the grass on fire, but what can you share from us where you are?
Well, I can tell you, you guys have been talking about the wind gusts out here. I had to put my hair back just because the wind is whipping. So it questions if this started out as a brush fire. Is that what spread this? I've been watching a new fire truck arriving, trying to see if they're switching out right now because of these temperatures. You can also see this ambulance coming up right now. What I don't know is if they loaded anyone into the back of it, whether it's a firefighter or a pedestrian, but you can see them leaving here right now. There's another ambulance down there too. Sorry, let me get out of the way. But we do know that about 30 minutes ago, Captain Rob McDade with Phoenix Fire told us that there has not been any injuries at that time. But again, it is hot out here. We know these temperatures are difficult to fight a blaze like this. Now, I'm a little bit further back. I'm not in that direct line of smoke because I'm on that northwest side. But to give you an idea of what this industrial area looks like, this right here, you can see all these cars here. And Jordan keeps describing something similar to this is what we're looking at along 31st Avenue, several different businesses that look like this. So this is an auto sales place. We see a lot of junk cars right here, and it's basically the same on the other side here. One more thing that I just want to show you, the firefighters up on the ladder truck. We see a number of them fighting this fire right now. The good news is you can see how that smoke is more of a gray color. That's what firefighters want to see. I can tell you that they have been working on like that defense mode strategy. And again, it's unclear what exactly started that brush fire and what led to it jumping over here. I think Jorge brings up a valid point of we will have to wait and see to see if wind gusts played any factors out here, guys.
Thank you very much for your perspective there. We have some new images just coming in from a viewer's camera here, and you can see this is obviously a little bit earlier because firefighters have made a lot of progress on this since we've been tracking this shortly before 3 o'clock. But it is, I mean, you can see what this looked like early on in this firefight.
And that is from a distance. We showed pictures earlier, guys, and I don't know if we can get those up from Perez earlier, Mr. and Mrs. Perez, but they showed the blackness of this smoke, how impenetrable it was. This is one photo. The next one, even better, showing just how dense it was. And one of the things that Captain McDade mentioned earlier was just how this was superheated smoke, and it can reignite even in the air, which is crazy to think about. And just the intensity could be seen for miles up and down the 10, up and down the 17, from the 51. You name it. A lot of people said that is a massive fire in the distance. What is burning? And now we can obviously tell you it's these multiple businesses, kind of an industrial area. But as Captain McDade said, there are some homes in the area. So that's a real concern. And obviously you can see the difference between those pictures and what we see now. Fire doing a great job getting control of this.
Yeah, some mobile homes and RVs where folks apparently live right in the area. One of the things lost in this fire, as we continue to take a look at live pictures, this time from the ground, showing the firefighters going up the ladder there. And then here's a wider shot, live pictures again coming to us from the Cliff Castle chopper, showing the firefighting effort going on there at 27th Avenue and Buckeye. And you can see they've really done a great job in terms of getting that the flames out and getting that thick black smoke down. We're seeing a lot more of the gray is good, in the words of Captain Rob McDade, smoke there. But they had a lot of challenges, Zach, that they were dealing with. Very narrow alleyways, trying to get those enormous ladder trucks through there, and then some explosions and concern about what was burning down there.
Absolutely. Reports of live ammo, propane tanks, Captain McDade mentioned, exploding up what the neighbors heard. And you can see, as we just showed, you mentioned a firefighter walking up that ladder. You can see in the bottom right corner of your screen some men taking a break there, because these firefighters dealing with 110 degrees, 107 right now, as you can see on your screen. They need breaks. They're doing those switch in and outs. And you mentioned the difficulty, the industrial part of this area. Let's go to ABC 15's Jennifer Kovalevsky right now, because Jen, you're on the ground there. Kind of talk to us about this area. How difficult was it for you guys to navigate into this part of Phoenix?
It was not easy getting here. There were a lot of backups along the way. We're actually at 28th and Lincoln, so we're just down the street from the fire. You can see behind me, the smoke is not as, you can't see it as much here because the wind just keeps shifting. Probably about 10 minutes ago, the smoke was blowing right in our face. So as the wind is shifting, you are seeing the smoke plume kind of move with it. But you can see that a lot of the fire crews are staging behind me. We're seeing lots of additional fire trucks, Phoenix fire trucks coming in here. I did also see about just a few minutes ago, Phoenix Water was here, and I asked them what they were doing. Essentially, there is water that they're using to fight this fire, but they are going through and checking all of the valves to make sure they're open so they have as much water as they need to continue to try to fight this fire. I also talked to a gentleman here who said he saw this fire start, and he talked about how it started as a brush fire. As we are hearing from Phoenix Fire, they believe that this is how the fire started, and that it was very dark, very black smoke, and that it really took off, accelerated very quickly out here. So behind me, you can see that we are still seeing that gray. The smoke is not as big as it was when we first got here. I think I described earlier that black smoke. We have not seen that in probably the last 15 or 20 minutes since we got on scene. But this is clearly everybody here wanting to know what's going on. People stopping, getting out of their cars. We are seeing a lot of people leaving the area, so whether they're working or they live out there, there seems to be a lot of people who are evacuating, who Phoenix police are letting through, but they do have the road closed here at 28th and Lincoln. We will send it back to you.
All right, Jen, thank you. Stay safe out there. Obviously, heat a major concern for our crews, and even more so the men and women closer to the fire, above those flames, in all of that heavy equipment. We're talking at least 50 pounds plus of gear on them. And one of the things Captain McDade mentioned is the people in that ladder right now are breathing oxygen, right? Because they're worried about those fumes, Faye.
Yeah, a captain and a firefighter up on top of that ladder. They're communicating. They're a bit of the eyes and ears in many ways of the fire crews that are down below on the ground, because they do have that bird's eye perspective of hot spots that are burning, where they need to rotate people, what their next plan of attack is. And you can see that as we've been tracking this since about 10 to 3, about 2:50 this afternoon, and those enormous columns of thick black smoke that we saw burning here near 27th Avenue and Buckeye Road, to what we're seeing right now, which is the firefight starting to, it appears, wrap up there. So our coverage will continue. We're going to take a short break, let our crews gather some more information. We'll be back.
Folks, I think that's all there is. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your views. Hope you all soon. Take care. Have a good night. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your views. You know, you didn't chat in the chat, but you might be blocked. I don't know. Just comment on my community tab. You know, unblock you. Take care, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your views. And don't know when I'll go live again, but hopefully soon. Y'all have a good night. I don't want that. I would have gone longer, but I think that's all there is. Wonderful night. Just make sure everything works. See y'all soon. Bye.